Good morning and welcome to GC360, where news comes full circle. I'm your host, Jalen Brooks, and today I'd like to give you some tips on how to be an anchor. But first, what is an anchor? We are the presenters of news and the faces of TV stations. Essentially, our role is to introduce stories and segments created by reporters, as well as interview guests live on air, all with the help of our handy-dandy teleprompter. The best anchors can add personality to every broadcast to make it entertaining for their viewers. As an anchorman, your best friend is the teleprompter. This baby right here. Without it, you literally couldn't do the job. Now the way it works is we have a little screen down here. You can't really see it, but we have a little screen down here with text on it. And that text is reflected onto this mirror. Now we'll have someone off to the side scrolling the text to match your reading speed as you read. And then behind this reflected mirror is a camera. Here's your first tip. Promote confidence. To our audience, we are an established authority on the news, so we must act like it, which means sitting up straight, putting your shoulders back, and smiling. But not too wide, because this can come across as if you're nervous. However, this makes it seem like you don't even want to be here. Just have a comfortable smile, as if this whole broadcast is a pleasant conversation. Also, try not to talk with your hands, because this can come across as distracting. It may be relaxing to you, but to your viewer, they're trying to focus on two different things at once. You speaking and your hands moving. So, your best bet is to keep your hands clasped on the desk right in front of you or under it, on your legs. One surefire method that I've found to help me feel more comfortable on air is to rehearse the rundown or the script before the show. So I'll come in 30 minutes, an hour, a day before the show and just scroll through each of my lines and every story that we have coming up during that broadcast, so I know what's coming and I know what I'm talking about, which helps me to feel more confident on air. So, pro tip number 2, and this one's a little obvious, but you need to dress nice to be an anchor. So generally when you're on TV, code of dress is business casual. So, dress as if you're going for a job interview. So for men, that's a dress shirt, a tie, and a blazer. And then pants. But also bear in mind that when you're on TV, people are only going to see you from the chest high. So shorts, flip-flops, that's fine. No one's gonna bother you about that. I just prefer to be fully dressed up. That's a me thing. For those that may have class or some sort of prior engagement before a show and you don't want to wear a suit all day, we have a room here that we use to stock clothes. Now time for tip 3, which is arguably the most important tip. You have to speak slowly and enunciate your words. You have to make a conscious effort to speak slower than you would normally, even if you think you don't speak that fast, because what ends up happening most times on TV is when you're reading, you pay closer attention to what you're saying, which then makes you nervous, which then makes you speed up. And also, another important tip, you don't want it to come across as if you're reading. The best anchors are those who make it seem like they're just having a conversation. I'm just talking to an audience. I'm just talking to one person. I don't even see the camera. For example, we don't want this. Today in San Francisco, there was a hurricane and monkeys were raining down from the sky and they were on fire and it sucked. Instead, today in San Francisco, there was a hurricane and it was raining monkeys and those monkeys were on fire. See, you can tell the difference in my delivery there. It sounds more natural, which helps you to really pay attention to what I'm saying. Tip number 4, it's okay to make mistakes. It's natural to stumble or mess up on live television. You're possibly speaking to hundreds of people at once. However, you can't freeze. You can never freeze. That is a cardinal sin in this business, freezing on camera. If you butcher a sentence, mess up your words, mess up a whole segment even, you can't stop. Keep moving, keep reading like normal, and eventually, you'll get better. Tip number 5, be prepared for anything. This here is our control room. This GC360's nerve center. Everything that goes into a weekly live broadcast is controlled from behind here. What's played on screen, your audio, everyone else's audio, our commercials, everything comes through here. As an anchor, you have to be flexible because these shows have a lot of moving parts. And if one thing goes out of order, or say one of these machines breaks down, everything else tends to snowball. And you're on screen as the face of the broadcast. And you need to know how to deal with that. For example, a story or a whole segment might get thrown out mid-show, and you would find out 2 seconds after it happened when your producer, who'd be sitting right here, watching you on screen, presses a button right here and sends you a message through your IFB earpiece and tells you what to do next. You may have to apologize to the audience for technical difficulties, or ad-lib / strike up a random conversation with your anchor co-star to fill time in the instance that we're short. You may even have to end the show early. For our final tip, tip number 6, practice makes perfect. Rome wasn't built in a day, and the more you do this, the more you anchor, the more shows you attend, the better you'll become. That I promise you. I, for one, am much better off than when I first started. Regardless of the other steps, the more time passes, and as I said, the more you anchor, the more comfortable you'll become behind the camera, which makes everything else so much easier. This is Jalen Brooks, signing off as lead anchor for GC360, where news comes full circle.